I could get lost in books very easily, and always have been able to. But which is not to say that that's precisely what I expected to be doing. I knew that I wanted to do something creative. I wanted to do something with, art. And when I got to school, this thing called graphic design sort of presented itself. And I hadn't really encountered, of course I had encountered it, but I never thought about what it was. The combination of words and images. And basically, when I went to New York, I had a portfolio, and I really wanted to work for one of the big graphic design firms. I interviewed with all of them, and nobody offered me a job, which, for whatever circumstance. And I was getting desperate, and so somebody said, you should go to Random House and try and get freelance book jacket work to tide you over. And so I went over there, and a very nice woman at Vintage Books at the time gave me a cover to actually work on, which was amazing because I was 21 years old and totally clueless. But she gave me an assignment to design a cover for a book called How to Work for a Jerk. Totally true story. And it was a self-help book for people who hated their bosses but didn't want to quit their jobs. So I decided therefore, of course, I would make it look like it was a 1950s EC horror comic, like creepy or eerie or weird. And so I drew the type to look like it was all dripping and gooey and how to work for a jerk, And I turned it in, and she found it very amusing, and everybody hated it. And so she basically said, it made everybody smile and laugh, but nobody would ever actually use this. So that was my introduction into book design. And as it turns out, another art director there at Knopf Publishing needed an assistant. And so I campaigned heavily to become that, and I did. It took a while, but I figured, all right, we'll just try this book design thing for a while, and it'll be a way for me to get my foot in the door so I could eventually do what I really wanted to do. And it will be 24 years in October. Still figuring it out. I'd like to stay in book design. I don't know if book design wants to stay in the world. This is one of the sort of scary things we're sort of figuring out and being met with the whole concept of reading a book on a screen or reading it on a machine or this kind of thing, which I'm personally very much against, but bless you. Once music was converted back to pure sound, i.e. an MP3, nobody really had any use for a CD anymore. And so, but the book was always a book. A book was never pure information. The book was the best piece of technology to deliver the information it had to deliver to you. So, Amazon is trying to change this, and Sony's trying to change this, and we'll see. So far it's not catching on in anything like the way the iPod caught on or the MP3 caught on. We still like to think of hardcover books as the luxury item that you can still afford. And as long as that holds up, then the publishing industry will be all right. But I don't know. Part of the reason I've said for years I'm a graphic designer and not a fine artist, not a painter, is because I suffer from blank canvas syndrome. If you sit me down in front of a blank canvas and say, okay, go, create, I will sit and I will stare at it, and then eventually I will start to cry, and then I will start to drink. And the process goes on from there. I I need a brief. I need an assignment. That's just the way my mind works. I don't know if it's because I was, brought up, in the middle class U.S. educational system, but that's it. I need a problem to solve. And so, writing, you have to create your own problem to solve. It's kind of a dopey thing to say, but writing is really designing with words. It's taking pure text and pure language to create an experience in the reader's mind. Books are very much theater of the mind. And so the more you can facilitate the reader to create the experience in their own head, the more they'll like it, the better experience they will have.
Have you ever thought to change your hairstyle?
In my what? In what clip?
In the video clip.
The video clip. It's about the same, isn't it the same?
No. The front hair was, I think, 8 millimeters. You had it 12 millimeters longer.
I don't know. It seems pretty long to me.
Maybe it was the dancing.
One of my most recent projects was basically rescuing, for 1 year in Japan, from 1966 to 1967, they wrote and produced their own Batman comics by and for the Japanese. And these came and went, these sort of evaporated as quickly as they arrived. And for years this had been rumored that this had existed, but nobody ever reprinted them, much less translated them. Like in Japan, they're sort of scarcely known themselves. And so once I got wind of this and was able to gradually find some of these comics, I put together a proposal to take to DC Comics in New York and say, I basically want to rescue this. And they were all for it, but the thing was that they said, we can grant you the license to do this, but that's all we can really do because we didn't really even know this existed. They did at the time, but they didn't archive any of it. So it became a kind of scavenger hunt thing that I embarked on with another collector friend who had a bunch of ties to dealers in Japan. And so anyway, this finally came out. It's called Bat Manga. Manga is, of course, Japanese comics. And it's a real labor of love. And the work is really great. I mean, it's not just a novelty. I mean, it's obviously a novelty, but this artist is a guy named Jiro Kawada, who is still alive. He's in his late 70s now, and it's really good cartooning. It's terrific. So I always try to have some kind of comics project going on that I'm working on because I really love it a lot, and I like to be working on something like that I really love. The latest thing, which hasn't been announced yet, and probably won't be for a while, is I'm writing an actual Batman graphic novel for DC Comics that will be illustrated by a British comics illustrator, and that's been really interesting and really fun, but that's in the very early stages, and it's going to have a whole design angle to it, mostly concerning architecture in Gotham City. So.
Okay, you basically design books and you also tell stories. I agree with you that the old book will remain, but the new digital books with the high-end 3D graphics, basically, when there's this new element of non-linear storytelling, and basically if you imagine a book as textual material in 3 dimensions, you can really fly through like in a movie. Do you have any thoughts to tell stories in totally new ways, which is basically also still a book, it's textual, you read it, but the mix of photos and images and text gives you a totally new dimension?
No.